by request. We got a special guest right now, ladies and gentlemen, to come up here and say a few words. In fact, I'll let her tell the whole story about it, but everybody put your hands together for Shannon, will you please?
No, when I come back in the car, I'll let you.
Hello everyone, my name is Shannon.
Well, I better hurry up.
I'm 18 years old, and last March was my 4-year anniversary. 4 years remission from leukemia.
Woo! Yeah!
I'm just gonna come up here and tell you a few words about what I went through and what this event means to me. This was all put together by Mr. Kevin Adler, my stepdad. When I was 11, I was just a typical kid, a little shy, focused on school and my friends, just worrying about what to wear and doing my homework. I started to experience severe stomach pains, and I noticed a bulge on my neck. I was embarrassed and I didn't want to tell anybody. I figured it would go away or that this was just something a lot of people went through. Over the course of a couple weeks, the bump got bigger and bigger and longer. I finally realized that maybe there was something wrong, so I showed my parents and they took me to my pediatrician. At that time, the stomach pains had gotten progressively worse to the point where I didn't even want to move. I didn't understand or even care what was happening. I just wanted someone to do something about my stomach. I downplayed my neck and tried to get my doctor to simply do something about my pain. I remember her saying, "Well, when I see a lump from across the room, I think mono." And although the test came back negative multiple times, they treated me for mono. After 2 weeks, I think she realized that it really wasn't mono, and then they treated me for the obvious, cat scratch fever. And then all the other obvious ones like sinus infections and allergies. Finally one day, I guess they decided that maybe it would be best to perform a biopsy on the bump, which had now grown to 9 inches in length during the month that they wasted not biopsying it. The tests came back and it was leukemia, a more rare type that wasn't typically found in children, acute myeloid leukemia, AML. Immediately, I was admitted to the hospital and tests were done to find out the extent of the cancer. The doctors gave me very slim chances. The cancer had spread to every major organ in my body. I had tumors all down my spine, in my spleen, liver, pancreas, kidneys. They said that if it had been caught earlier, my chances would have been significantly better and the battle more easily won. I went to Children's Hospital of Detroit and started an intense chemotherapy regime. During that time, everything was day to day. I don't have specific memories, just a blur of months gone by. I remember pain, sorrow, anger, but it was never about having cancer. It was about taking my medicine and listening to the doctors, having everyone talk at me, but not having anyone talk to me. Sleep was a sweet escape. I snoozed the days away. When I couldn't fall asleep, I had medicinal help. Everyone tells me I'm brave, I'm a fighter, I'm strong. I just sat in a bed and tried not to die. At that age, I didn't know what love was. I didn't know what true compassion was. I was selfish, like most kids. I didn't have dreams to hang on to. I didn't have any sense of my future. I was living day by day like other kids. I didn't sleep, or I didn't fight, I slept. I didn't cry because I didn't understand. Death didn't really have any sort of hold over me. When I was 14, I relapsed, and I was once again a normal kid in our first year of high school, trying to fit in and find myself. My first experience with cancer didn't teach me anything. It was simply something I had to go through, and it was just something I did. It didn't teach me to love life and appreciate the moments I have. Once again, I was selfish, and I didn't understand what real emotion was. I was a stereotypical teen. My memories are all fuzzy, either that or I don't remember at all. I can think that there is a reason I don't remember. The snippets that I can recall tell a story of pain torture, really. Horrific nights, agonizing days, and a sorrowful existence. I have very few memories of my time in the hospital, and from what I can remember, I don't want to remember anything else. The relapse went much the same as the first time, intense chemotherapy. And they used the chemotherapy as a safety net to make sure that everything was gone. This time, however, once they forced the cancer into remission, they started the process for me to have a bone marrow transplant. My family was tested, but no one was a match, so they put out a search on the international level. Once they found a match, I was moved to Harper Hospital in the internal wing of Karmanos Cancer Institute. My molecular match was a mid-40s German gentleman, and in this part of the story, he's my real hero. I underwent more chemotherapy, the most intense yet. My time was spent throwing up and in an almost constant dream state where I was in so much pain, but I was too tired to even scream. The finale of the bone marrow transplant on my end was very anticlimactic. In an early April, they walked into my room and hung a bag on my IV full of a yellowish, murky liquid, and that was the actual transplant. I had my moments of hope. There was an amazing attending physician named Dr. Dottori. I called him Dr. D. He was with me during my relapse and always fought on my side to get me what I really needed. When I was transferred hospitals during the bone marrow transplant, he came with me. He was in my room before the nurses when something was wrong. I remember I had a panic attack where I felt like I was on fire and that my mouth was burning. I pushed the call button for help, and Dr. D must have heard because he was in my room in a flash, sitting on the bed, rubbing my back, telling me it was going to be okay. It's unfortunate, but those little moments of hope get washed away and buried in the sea of pain that I went through. I carry Dr. D's memory and use it as a candle in the darkness. Having cancer for me isn't about the time when I was in the hospital fighting. It's about these moments now when I have to deal with that. Going through it was physically taxing, but living my life now is emotionally painful. Sometimes it's hard to function. The real battle began when the cancer was gone. Once I got a little older and started to understand the scope of death and pain, it becomes harder to look back. I have recently come to the terms with the understanding that I will never be okay, physically or emotionally. I will always have medical problems because of the medicine I have taken. I will never be 100%. I will never be in peak form, and I will never feel okay. Sometimes I feel like I'm still that kid in the hospital bed, weak and alone. It's a hard feeling to describe, being so small and feeling like you have the pressure of the world on you. Living life is the hard part. I don't have time to sort through my emotions, to try and understand the pain. I have to live in the real world, pay my bills, fulfill my obligations, and prop myself up so that I don't collapse under the pressure of just trying to live normally. Sometimes I feel like I'm talking about a stranger when I talk about what I went through. Sometimes I just don't get it. I don't think of myself as having cancer. That's something other people went through, something other brave souls have survived. I have all this pain and sadness, but I can't figure out why. Cancer is so much more. It is so much more than the months of battle. It's a lifelong recovery process, and this is where the healing starts. I'm not the hero of this story, but I'm not the victim either. I'm just me. Thank you, and thank you for being here.
Hear, hear! Hear, hear!